Hey there, and welcome back to this week's episode of the Seatown Podcast, where I invite on Seattle area business owners, entrepreneurs, and community personalities to share their stories with us. I'm really excited about this week's guest. It was the co-owner of C&P Coffee, Cameron Moores. She was not only a great person to talk to, but just felt really natural. It was really enjoyable. I think the interview this week with Cameron was one of the best done so far, mostly due to Cameron's great personality and just really easy to talk to. Really enjoyed getting to know her a little better, and I hope you enjoyed listening to the interview as much as I enjoyed talking with her. Sit back, relax, and enjoy. All right, well, thanks for making the time for me this morning, Cameron.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. I'd like to just kind of start off talking a little bit about your backstory, tell our listeners, kind of what you did before you opened the coffee shop, what you like to do in your free time.
Sure. Well, I was in coffee for probably 15 years before I started here, all over the city, some on the East Coast. And it was just something that I wanted to start my own shop. My husband worked in the market for a long time. He was a produce guy. Okay. So I had to convince him to come inside. He likes selling things too, sure, but in an outside capacity. Yeah. And so I think once I convinced him that, coffee was a little bit more stable than bananas. Sure. We were good to go.
Sure. Yeah. People want coffee year round.
Yeah, that's right. So finding a location was the next thing, and I really didn't know West Seattle at all. And somebody just told us about this space for lease, and I looked in the window and I was like, "This is where we want to be." Mm-hmm. Probably if you went to business school, you would not pick this location, and I'll tell you about that later. But it's been a great home for us for 14 years, which is phenomenal to me every day that we're still here and doing it.
That's awesome. Where were you guys living when you were?
Pete grew up on Capitol Hill, okay, and I had moved there I was living on the East Coast at the time. So, yeah, West Seattle was just whole new territory. And even 14 years ago, it was a different community than it is now. I think it was a lot quieter, a lot more retirees. So it's kind of fun to be part of new growth and new development and see young families coming in. And, sure. The growth has happened since the time we've been here.
Yeah, the last 14 years has been pretty substantial. Yeah. I assume you've seen business, go up with the market becoming more popular.
Yeah.
More popular. Yeah.
And just more. There's just more people here.
I'm sure that's great for business.
Yeah, it is.
Just tell me a little bit about what you do, what your role is at C&P Coffee.
Pete and I are pretty much everything. We're head gardeners, we're managers, we paint, we clean, we do it all. And as we've grown, that's definitely been something that we have to learn to adjust to, because there's a point where you really can't do everything yourself. Sure. So I think that's where we're at right now. Mm-hmm. You're always, as a small business owner, you're always sort of redefining your roles and trying to grow and learn and see how to be better managers. Not just people, but in general, this thing that you care for and that you've nurtured, you have to continue to grow. It's not a stasis, that's for sure.
Right. But what is the first 90 minutes of your day look like?
Oh, I get up at 3:30 in the morning, and I either walk or bike here. Mm-hmm. And it's a great transition. I really like my quiet couple of hours in the morning. That's when I come and pay bills, and sometimes in the summer I'll do a little gardening. So it's a nice quiet start, and I have an espresso machine that I can make all the coffee I want. And I really like those first moments interacting with customers at 6 in the morning. Everybody's really sleepy. I've been up for hours. Sure. It's pretty cool. I like it. Obviously, I'm a morning person.
Yeah, now you're much spunkier than I am at.
Come and see me about 2 this afternoon. It won't be, but yeah.
Okay. And then obviously coffee shop, but can you describe maybe in a little more detail, like what you offer and who you love to serve the most?
Well, I would say when I naively wanted to open a coffee shop, I thought it would just be about coffee. That's where my passion was. But coming to West Seattle and becoming part of a community has really changed my whole focus as a business owner. Now I'd say that we are stewards of a community gathering place first and foremost, and a coffee shop second. And that was not my original goal, but I think that West Seattle has such a strong sense of community. More so than any other place I've lived in Seattle. I lived in Fremont, I lived in Ballard, I lived in Queen Anne, I lived in North Seattle. And there's something about West Seattle that people want to know their neighbors, and they want to hang out with them, and they want to make music together, and they want to have art classes together. And this place has just been a great gathering place. And so that's been kind of the cool thing, is getting to sort of nurture that sense of community.
Yeah, that's awesome. How did that role transition kind of come about? I assume it was.
I think music was sort of the first thing that people wanted a place to play music, and that was definitely not something that I was setting out to do. But that brings neighbors together, and people want to play together, and we have this monthly bluegrass jam that's really paramount of what the whole thing is about. You never know how many people are going to show up. Sometimes it's like 20 people playing bluegrass music, and it's just anybody who's never been here before and they open up the door, it's just contagious. You can't help but be like, what the heck is this? It's awesome.
Is that on a certain night of the month?
That's the third Sunday of the month, and all our events are on our online calendar at cmpcoffee.com. But that's kind of the organic way that things happen around here. We've had a long-standing watercolor class that meets here. We have poetry readings. We have author readings, So I think people know now that this is a place to come and share your world with other people.
Sure. That's awesome.
Neighbors.
Yeah, it's very unique. My old stomping ground's kind of Ballard, Fremont, and there's quite a few of that sort of thing there. But thinking about in West Seattle, it's most places are come in, get coffee, leave. There's not a real community hang out.
Yeah.
So.
This is organic. This is changing. Sometimes you're going to come in and you're going to be annoyed because there are people talking and you want to work, or there's a band playing, or sometimes whatever.
Yeah.
But that's part of a community. There's a couple that's getting married this year that met here.
Mm-hmm.
Like, this is what happens here,
Yeah.
So again, if you're open, there's more under the surface than just cup of coffee.
What would you say the biggest challenge when you first started your business was?
I think for every business, every new business, there's always that unexpected. No matter how many business plans you write, no matter how long you've been in the industry, when you do your own thing, the dice gets rolled, and for us, it's managing this 100-year-old house that we don't own. There's been a lot of challenges along the way, and I think most importantly is just being able to adapt and roll. And the challenges change as you grow. You maybe become successful in one area, but you realize you have weaknesses in another. I'm lucky to have an incredible business partner. Pete and I work really well together. We don't work well together behind the bar, and so we don't work together behind the bar. But I really value his opinion, and he brings things to the table that other people couldn't, I don't think. And I don't think I could have done this by myself. So I'm really fortunate to have just a killer business partner. And a community that supports us, and helps kind of guide what the next steps are. Mm-hmm. I think as this community develops, that'll be our next big challenge, is how do we stay in this place? We don't own this building. Mm-hmm. And we've had a great landlord who's been very supportive of us, but who knows what the future will bring.
Sure.
And I don't think I'm alone as a small business owner trying to adapt to rising rents and new regulations, and how to keep a space like this that is possibly more sustainable as a 6-unit condo than it is as a single-story coffee shop.
Yeah.
I mean, this is a hindsight thing that I don't know if I would change, but certainly this building is in a lot of ways been a detriment to our success, because we're in the middle of a block, we're up off the street, we're in a house. These are all things that, Starbucks would never do. You're always on a corner, you're always as accessible as you can possibly be, because it's about volume. That's how you make money in the coffee business, is how many people can you get in the door. And, this is a real limitation. I've seen people hesitate before they open the door, like, is it okay to go in this house, right?
When I walk in someone's living room?
Yeah, because it is something really different. And I didn't know. I just thought it was a cool place, right? And And so that's a real obstacle we've had to kind of fight over the years, to let people know that we're here and that it's okay to come in and hang out. And it probably has limited the volume that we could do, right? But look at what we got instead. Something totally unique and something that is a real, I hope, benefit to the community, and that the community is forming. It's not Pete and I saying, let's make a community place. The community is forming our future and who we are. And again, being open to that, which is not where I started, is made it into something totally cool and different than what I could have tunnel vision set out to do.
Sure. Well, when you have community business happening organically like this, you're going to have probably a lot more regular customers, that are loyal to you guys and the business and stuff.
And they're vested in our success.
Right. And you don't really get that with, the big coffee chains, just whatever's most convenient. It's like. So you kind of mentioned that you and Pete, work really well together. Not necessarily literally in the same space, but I assume you kind of talk about like strengths and weaknesses, balancing each other.
Yeah.
What would you say some of your biggest strengths are as far as how it contributes to owning and running small business?
I think that over the years, we've been able to remain open to new ideas, new changes, listening. That's a huge thing. I've learned over the years that my customers tell me what they want, whether it's a new product or a different seating arrangement or different hours. And so just being a good listener, and then I think that translates to any partnership too. I think having a business like this, you have to listen to each other. There are always compromises to be made, but hopefully in the long run, those things make you better, right, than a singular vision. I think had I been doing it myself, it would have been my vision and my coffee shop, and that's fine. But it would have been a very different animal than what it is now, which is more about how can we support the community and how can we be part of something bigger than ourselves. And I can't say that's what I started out to do for sure.
Sure.
Yeah.
That's awesome. What?
You kind of alluded to it, but what would you say that you're passionate about?
Well, personally, I'm a painter, and art's really important to me. And again, that's been a cool thing about this space is I've gotten to share that with my friends. I meet amazing artists in our own community. Our watercolor class it's not happening right now because our teacher's taking a break. But through that, I've met people that I go plein air painting with in the summertime, and we've had group shows here. And so these are lasting friendships and relationships that I probably wouldn't have made on my own had I just been sitting in a park painting somewhere. So that's kind of my side passion. And then Pete and I have two kids. And so it's been really fun to have kids here at the coffee shop and kind of, it's their world. They don't think much about it. But, we have Easter egg hunts here and birthday parties here. And so kind of working the coffee shop into their life, I hope will be a happy memory for them, So one thing that's just so amazing to me is being able to connect people together, but being able to connect the local plumber I know with somebody who's having trouble, or somebody needs a gardener or a babysitter, or again, these are the people of our community, and it's so cool to hook people up.
Right.
It's different than Yelp. It's more like, I know this person. He worked on my house.
Right.
You're gonna love working with him. Yeah. That is stellar to me. That is really, really fun and cool.
Sure. Sounds like you're a natural connector. I'm kind of the same way. I'm like, someone mentions something, I'm like, oh, I know a guy that does great work, it does that, or whatever. I enjoy bringing people together.
Me too. Isn't it exciting? Like when oh my gosh, you gotta, even if it's just a professional kind of, I know you two people will have a lot to talk about. It's like hosting a great party. You invite the people that, even if they're different, will inspire each other, or be friends, get married.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, how do you think that you guys set yourselves apart from other coffee shops in the area or in Seattle?
Well, I don't know. That's tricky because if you're just talking about coffee shops, there are a lot of great coffee shops in this city. This is the place to be. I've traveled a lot, and there's not a lot of great coffee out there. So, I of course think Lighthouse is the best coffee in the city, but there's plenty of other good coffee too. And then the place itself. I mean, this is pretty awesome.
Yeah.
I think that a lot. I mean, just like there's nowhere else you can come and have a glass of wine and listen to a jazz band play and be in the schoolhouse. It's awesome.
Well, it's a couple of things that set you guys apart. I mean, like you can get not only good coffee, but you can get wine.
Yeah.
You guys have beer too?
Yeah.
And then the outdoor space out back is very, very peaceful.
We rent it for parties too, and we've had killer parties here. We've had weddings here. We've had so many weddings here. People have gotten married here.
Yeah.
So that's pretty cool.
Sure.
I don't think there are very many coffee shops that people get married in.
Yeah, not too many. So.
Yeah.
And the live events and bands and stuff.
Yeah.
It's pretty unique. So. Do you guys roast your own coffee, or what?
We don't.
Coffee do you
It comes
use?
from Lighthouse in Fremont, and they're the bomb as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah.
They're interesting too. They're just they're small, really focused on quality roaster, and I don't know what I would do if they were around. I mean, I have been a huge fan of theirs for 20 plus years. So yeah, and we really try to support. The more that we can, the more that we can support locally sourced items. That's really the future for us.
Sure.
We host a CSA here. I'm about to this week, I think, host a fish CSA. I don't know what you would call that.
Okay.
So it's a local fisherman who signs people up, and you can come and pick up your box. It's a subscription.
Okay.
So anything like that I can do to support locally sourced, and that goes for all the food that we carry here. We really try whenever we can to get locally good ingredient products.
Yeah, great for you guys, great for us. I mean, the Theo chocolate and the mocha's delicious.
Yeah, even though we have to go pick it up, yes.
Yeah. What is one habit you wish you had?
I'm working towards being more organized, for sure. Owning small business, there's just things that pull you in a million different directions, and prioritizing what's important.
So kind of moving into the next portion, of the interview, I wanted to ask you, a little, I guess on a little more or personal level, what was one of the stories of like your worst entrepreneurial moments, in the 14 years you've been doing this?
Oh my gosh, the gruesome ones, like in the basement when the sewer line breaks and shoveling out. Yeah. Terrible. Terrible. Those are the moments where you're like, why am I doing this? But you do it, and it's yours, and you realize after all these moments, and there were a lot of big ones. You couldn't have done it any other way, right? Business school doesn't prepare you for that. Writing business plans doesn't prepare you for that. All of those things are important, but it's actually showing up every day and being here every day and caring, just caring, So there are a laundry list of disasters that have happened, and we've gotten through them, and it makes you realize you'll go forward too.
What keeps you going? When
the people care about this place as much as people at Pete and I do, and we've had customers that we've known long enough that they've been ill and they died. There are new babies that get born here. We're really part of something that I don't know what else I would do. I don't think people in an office get to experience what I get to experience every day. I get to experience real life happening,
You're in the trenches,
But it's great. I mean, I think if you go, I'm just guessing, but I'm guessing the office life is a lot different than that,
Yeah, typically.
So I wouldn't trade it for anything. I mean, it has a lot of challenges, and there are many days, 3:30 in the morning, where I don't want to get up and walk to work in December, but it's totally worth it. Totally worth it. So it's got to work out. I don't have a backup plan.
Sure.
Maybe now with this experience, maybe if I went to go do something else, I could bring that with it. But I don't think had I been on some regular career track that I would have grown the way that I have doing this, you know. And I think for people who are entrepreneurs, they probably deep down inside are always an entrepreneur, you know.
It's a good personality trait. Yeah.
I do. I do. You know, I've had a lot of people over the years come and say, "Oh, I want to start a coffee shop," and you know, I'll send them on a few little errands just to see, you know, like go check out other coffee shops or come back and tell me what, you know, and probably 1 out of 20 people I've talked to has gone on to do it themselves because it's not just about the surface part of it. It's, you know, are you willing to put all your credit cards on the line and, you know, work an 18-hour day yourself and all of those cliche things that if you're an entrepreneur, you don't think about it. You just do it. That's what you're doing.
Right.
Not that it's not about work ethic. It's just about do you have the stomach for this thing that may or may not work out. Although I think a lot of working people today are facing the same thing. I think a lot of people are entrepreneurs. They just don't know it.
Yeah, I find a lot of people who like the idea of being self-employed, you know, or opening a coffee shop or being having a restaurant. They don't realize, you know, like the grueling hours and all the non-glamorous stuff that comes along with it. Looking at the other side of the coin of being a business owner and an entrepreneur, you know, I don't know if you can think of a specific time when you kind of looked at, you know, what's going on here and what you've been part of creating and saying, you know, wow, this is really making a difference. It's really, you know, impacting the community or people's lives. I mean, do you have a story to share?
There have been a lot of stories, obviously. One that happened to us fairly recently, I guess about a year ago, is Jillian, who's working today. Her boyfriend was leading a group of people up on Everest when the earthquake happened. And, you know, that was an incredible moment. We were all so personally wrapped up in what was happening over there and was he okay? And he survived and all the people on his tour survived. And then on his return, you know, we had a fundraiser for the village that he was in Nepal. And it's those kind of things where it's like, yeah, I could give some money to something, Red Cross or whatever, but actually knowing somebody who was there, who experienced it, who had a real connection, who could hand on this relief to actual people. Right. That's the kind of thing that happens here all the time, and even in our own community, you know, like the stuff that we do with West Seattle Food Bank and Westside Baby and Helpline, and I wouldn't know about those things if those people weren't my customers, sure. You know, so it gives me a direct access to people and events that I probably wouldn't have if I was just
sure.
at home.
Yeah, that's awesome. What sort of involvement do you guys have with those local nonprofits?
Oh, we have an ongoing food drive for the West Seattle Food Bank, and we collect donations money-wise for them. We do a diaper drive several times a year for Westside Baby. You know, we are hosting all kinds of nonprofit stuff that happens. So, but again, it's people coming to us and asking for use of the space rather than us seeking it out, and so it's just really cool to have that available to the community as a resource.
That's awesome. Yeah, those are both great organizations.
Yeah.
So in the past, what do you find holding you back from becoming the entrepreneur you are today?
Well, I think fear is always there. You know, fear of failure, fear of, you know, are we making good decisions?
What's the best advice you've ever received?
Probably not to be afraid. So maybe I should listen to that. Yeah. Trust your gut and your instincts, and, you know, I think if you, that cliche that if you operate from your heart and operate from kindness, things will work out, whatever it is, you know. Sure. I mean, there is no failure if you're acting from a place of kindness and goodness. Sure.
Is there a personal habit that you have that you believe contributes to your success?
Kindness is number one. That's something that every new person that we hire, we really emphasize that, you know, we want to make this a welcoming place, that we know people's names and we know their dogs' names, and, you know, even if you're not nice. We will find a way to make you feel comfortable, because usually when people are that way, they either haven't been treated kindly or they have a need that, maybe somebody just hasn't paid attention to them. And I can't say we live up to that 100% of the time. Customer service is always challenging, and so that's kind of our company motto, and I would say our family motto too, is try to be kind. Just try and find a place of kindness and have that be your center.
Can you share with us one parting piece of guidance or advice?
I just hope that what I've learned to be open and be a good listener and be kind is a good way for everybody to move forward. This is new realization for me in my life, and I think it's made me a better person, and I just hope to keep coming back to that, and I hope other people find that too. I've found a lot of joy and happiness, not just in work, but in my life, since I've kind of put that into place, and so that's what I hope for other people. I have a joyful, great life, and I want that for other people too. I really do. There's not a day that goes by that I'm not profoundly happy. I have a moment in my bike ride where I stop up at the water tower. I don't know if you know where that is, but it's a great viewpoint.
I live up there. Yep.
And now that it's May, the sun comes up at 4:15. So I was sitting there yesterday morning, and I think it was yesterday, and this police officer comes up and he says, "Anything suspicious over here?" And I said, "No, I'm just looking at the sunrise." It's pretty great, isn't it? And I just had this moment like, well, I guess I do look suspicious standing here watching the sun come up, but it's really great.
Maybe just figured you're a vigilante and looking out for someone to help. That's funny. And then, what's the best way to connect with you or C&P Coffee? If someone
definitely through our website and through email.
And what's your the website and email?
cmpcoffee.com, and all the info is on there. Hours, contact, schedule of events is on there, and that is, there is a lot of stuff going on.
Well, that's it for this week's podcast. Don't forget to subscribe to the C-Town podcast on iTunes, and it would be great if you left me a review and rated the podcast, shared it with your friends. If you have any suggestions for me or feedback, feel free to send me an email at christianharris@ctown.com or visit my website at ctown.com. That's c-town.com. Until next week.